Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fuel Injection Podcast, our 11th installment. Today we have Pranav Iyer back on board to talk to us about the SSC controversy and how the new vehicle, the Tuatara, may not have reached the top speed that they claimed. How are you doing, Pranav?
I'm doing great. How are you? What's up?
Pretty good, thanks. So, SSC. We all know that they claim to have reached the top speed of 300
that's true.
miles an hour on the first run, and then on the second one, I think it was like 301 or 304.
Yeah.
But then they actually may not have gotten to that top speed. So,
Okay.
thoughts about
So
that?
yeah. So here's what happened, right? So I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was the 26th of October, in which they started the run. So they had everything set. If you may or may not have heard of Oliver Webb, who is a rather proficient Formula One driver, also very close associate to Smee150, the YouTuber, which I'll bring up later in a bit, because he's the one who pretty much amplified this controversy to a whole new level. So what actually happened was that everything was set up, right? So, because it's a speed run, we're talking, a very isolated stretch of desert road somewhere in Nevada. And so what happened was, the weather was not the best, I can tell you that. But what I can tell you is that Jared Shelby was determined. Oh, by the way, I should just point out the fact that while Jared and Carol Shelby have the same last name, they aren't really related. So they start in about the 26th, then they do the run. So then they publish a video, obviously, because every supercar manufacturer has to publish a video to go and claim they did the run. A couple of days later, Shmi goes and evaluates the video, and he realizes something is up, which is the fact that the camera shown from the chopper, right? Because this is both aerial, simply because your average camera's frame rate can't really capture in a stable manner how fast the car is going, right? So the camera from the chopper is here, and there's a dash cam inside the car. Now, interestingly, the speed camera recorded as well as the video recordings of the chopper show one speed in triple digits, and the dash cam shows another speed.
Right. Yeah. I watched that video and I saw the two different speeds and I was like, huh. Yeah. So.
Which goes to show either two things, right? Either SSC faked the record, or it's been some really, really shoddy video editing on their part.
Yeah. Either they're faking it, or that dash cam wasn't properly filming what speed they were actually going. Or they just edited it.
But then if you look at it, right, so they do a second run, and even after doing a second run, if the speed camera on the plane and the speed camera in the car show two different readings, that kind of raises suspicion, right? Because it's not just about, the speed camera not working or not working. This could be faked, right? Because even though how good equipment is, we still live in an era where it's easy to manipulate things.
It is. It's very easy these days with the technology.
Yeah, with the technology you have, all you can do is just hack into the internal chip of those two speed cameras, and then you can just pretty much do whatever you want. But what you should know about SSC at some point is the fact that they had done this record before. Have you heard of the Ultimate Aero? This is in 2008. Same dudes who did the Ultimate Aero. So on one end, while I doubt their the legitimacy of the record, but at the same time, they've done it before, and it shows, because the only time after that was Bugatti actually beating them in the Veyron. So yeah,
Yeah, I think they did a top speed run in the Ultimate Era. I think it was 284
yeah, that's right.
miles an
This
hour.
was back in 2008, right?
Yeah, it was
So
back
it
when the
was
Bugatti Veyron
F1,
was
Veyron,
debuted.
Ultimate Aero, Veyron Super Sport, Venom GT, Chiron, and Chiron, Agera, Rigera, and now these guys.
Yeah, and I think the Chiron Super Sport also.
The Chiron Super Sport's coming.
Yeah, I think it's coming. I think they're planning on making it, up there with all the other ones, the Iyer, the Tuatara, and everything. So.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to bring up the Super Sport though. But then the thing is, I don't know if there's a production model or not. Because the thing is, it's not just your average Chiron, but it's not a Chiron turned into a Devo either.
Yeah, it's somewhere in between a Chiron and a Devo. It's kind
because you had to remove weight to go fast, but at the same time to keep the weight on so that you had the downforce to not kill yourself.
Yeah, you have to have some. You have to get that right. The balance of
Gotta get the balance
just
right.
that amount of weight.
Because too less weight and you die, too much weight and you can't reach that speed.
Yeah, you have to get that balance. Yeah.
Especially with aerodynamics, which I think SSC would have nailed. Because if you look at the Tuatara, it's full of all sorts of wings and creases and pretty much every single device which you can think of, from flying by random intake in the middle of the car nowhere to help it stay in place. But at the same time, it's also pretty streamlined, right? Because if you compare the Tuatara to the Chiron, I would honestly tell you upfront that the Tuatara is a much more capable car. Simply because it has the aerodynamics. And the Chiron, while it looks good, it's pretty much a brick in front of the Tuatara. Because if you look at the silhouette of the car, yeah, sure, there are intakes in the headlamps and stuff, but the Tuatara has much more intakes. It's much more streamlined. It's much more aerodynamic. And so that's kind of why I would say that Tuatara would have done it. I think it's a case of bad video editing, because I trust SSC with this. As you're aware, they've done this record before, and I think they'll do it again. But then again, Christian von Koenigsegg or someone else would be in their garage and realize, oh yeah, guys, now's a chance.
It's just a constant battle.
It's a constant cycle, yeah.
Yeah.
But another thing that I find interesting about the world's fastest car is the fact that we don't really define fast. Because
it's subjective.
Honestly, think about it, right? Do you want a car that can pull a lot of G's in a corner? Do you want a car which doesn't necessarily have to be that fast? Because torque is also a big plays a big impact on how fast your cars are. So that kind of depends on what you're looking for. It could be, in cornering, 0 to 60, the quarter mile, how much power you have to sustain that. So I think if you really want to call yourself the fastest car in the world, I think what people should do is quantify fast. Because numbers won't just do justice to saying that a car is fast. Because if you go ahead, I mean, you have a license, right?
Yeah, I do.
Go to a Subaru dealer, drive a BR.
Right.
It's, in a sense, it's a slow car. If anything can smoke it, if provided they have the power. But the thing is, it's so light, it feels fast.
Yeah, it kind of plays tricks on your mind because it's quite light and nimble and small.
Because the wheels off it was 30 to 40 kilometers per hour, or miles per hour, I guess. You're driving the hell out of it at 30, 40, 50 kilometers an hour, and you don't really feel it. You actually feel like you're going much faster. Now, obviously, if you're talking vintage cars, it's a different story because things tend to shake and rattle and rust over time, provided you don't restore them, and that's kind of how they're built. But if you look at modern cars from a modern standpoint, you need to define fast, because I honestly think that the number of horsepower a car has or how much torque a car has, that's not really enough to go up and say that yes, this car is fast.
Yeah, you have to prove. You can say, oh, it has this amount of horsepower, it has
Because
this
you can
60 tons.
have
But you have to prove it.
0.5 horsepower, right? But at the same time, if you have 13 to 14,000 foot-pounds of torque, that is fast. You may not have the power to sustain that speed, but that is fast, right?
And it's cool.
Even if SSC is saying that we broke the land speed record, there's no way they can break the land speed record as such. They broke the land speed record for a motor car.
Yeah, they broke it for
and the land speed record and the land speed record for a motor car are two different things. Because if you look at a land speed record as a whole, that's like a different ballgame altogether, because that's pretty much even more a question of life and death, because there are no airbags or any other safety equipment. You actually have to have proper jets and choppers flying above you, in the sense that you're the only one who's in the car, and the car is definitely going to be much more aerodynamic, much more powerful, much less tameable, so to speak, because you can't really tame the thing. You just gotta, there's a big hammer, you just gotta use it. That's pretty much how I think of it. So yeah, that's my take on the SSC controversy. But I honestly think, Rahul said this in an article that is, I'm happy with Jared's attitude in the sense that he's trying to prove the public wrong. The SSC can do it, SSC has done it, and SSC will do it.
Yeah.
But like I said, right, this is probably an honest case of video editing, or there could be some bureaucracy, because again, this industry, whether we like it or not, is heavily monopolized by Ferrari and Lamborghini, as well as all the other giants out there. It could be a case of that, right? Because maybe Shelby could be just another innocent guy trying to break the speed record, or he faked it to get attention. I'm honestly going with the former.
I feel like he could have faked it. I'm not saying that he did or he didn't, but I feel like he could have, because SSC, although the company that makes very fast cars, they're not as well known as Lamborghini or Ferrari or Bugatti or Koenigsegg. So I think he might have done this to get it.
Itself as a car.
To say, here's SSC. We're out here also making quick cars, and just to kind of get SSC a bit more well known. I feel like that could have been
he's just doing this to put SSC on the map. But Hennessy broke the land speed record. Nobody really cared about them, except if you are a car guy.
I think that's because they actually did break the land speed record, whereas SSC claims that they broke the land speed record, but then there's some controversy.
SSC have done it, but not now. They did it in 2008.
They did it in the Tuatara, but there's some controversy, and so I think that raises the public awareness and makes the public question, okay, did they actually do it? Whereas Hennessy, they actually did do it. Like, there was no question whether or not they broke it. Whereas SSC, there was some questioning whether they broke the land speed record in the Tuatara.
Yeah,
that's true. It makes everyone go, huh, did they actually? Or is this a fake?
We don't know. It's because sometimes Jared is the kind of guy who can come up with an explanation for things. Or at least that's how I perceive him to be in the media. Because, he's already come up with explanations for events like this happening before. He's trying to use the fact that we did it in the Ultimate Aero before as a trump card, that he can be trusted, and that Oliver Webb is a former F1 driver, and Shmi did talk to him and interview him in a video about the Tuatara controversy as a whole. After all, he's the man driving the car. But yeah, that's what I think about the SSC controversy.
Yeah.
But if you ask me to sum it up, I think I would go with the fact that it's probably shoddy video editing. Or someone would have ruined it on purpose.
Yeah. And probably is the most likely explanation because I looked at an article, and in the article it mentioned that the video cameras they use had been used by a bunch of other companies to do their land speed records, and that they were supposedly the top company to use when doing land speed record filming.
They had a chopper on top of them flying because no average camera can capture the frame rate.
Right. So they had these two cameras, and I feel like between those two cameras they had the chopper with the camera on it. So I feel like somehow someone in that chopper could have been feeding information to the camera to fake it somehow. It could have been.
Yeah, that's true.
While they were filming the car doing its speed record.
Yeah, true. Or it's just the whole record was faked. But then again, if you have an F1 driver who's actually driving it, I don't think that person's going to admit the record's fake, because you are kind of questioning both his legitimacy as an F1 driver, but also his legitimacy as someone who can drive well and drive fast. But overall, I think his trust and his reputation would have also gone down a bit because of SSC. So yeah, that's what I think about the whole controversy.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting topic, and I think it's going to be around for a while. I think people will continue to talk about it and debate it.
Yeah.
So I'm sure
yeah, true. Because there are those who say that video editing is bad, which is true. It could be the case. But then again, it's also HD, and there are two videos that are horribly edited.
Right. Yeah. There was two separate videos being taken. The one from the helicopter and the one inside the actual car as it was being driven. So.
Yeah, true. That could have been tampered with.
Yeah, and if you take these two, just one last thing, if you take these two cameras that were filming, and if you take the video from the one inside the car and the one from the helicopter, and you kind of put them together, you can almost like do some cross editing, if you know what I mean. You can kind of take snippets from each one and kind of
true. That could also be the case.
Yeah.
Or it could have just been bad timing.
It could have been. There's a lot of different factors, honestly. There's a lot of different things that could have happened.
Because I think the car would have done it. The weather wasn't too bad either.
Yeah, the weather was pretty appropriate. I saw in the video it was pretty much blue skies. It wasn't too
bit windy, but not too bad.
Yeah, and we know that the car can do it. I mean, it's
skippable. It looks skippable.
So we know that they can do it. They've done it before. So it's probably. I think you're probably right. It is probably just the video editing that was.
I think so.
Faked. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on to talk about this. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you next week.